You're listening to Pop This, the podcast where two women talk about everything pop culture. Here are your hosts, Lisa Christiansen and Andrea Warner.
I know what everyone's been waiting for. The saga of my foot continues. For those who are just joining midway through the saga, it is now 8 weeks since I broke my foot. I have been going to the doctor every 2 weeks to get x-rays and progress report. And as of yesterday, I am now walking on my 2 feet.
Yay!
What? Yay! It's not even close to November.
Did
you just shout biped in the smallest voice?
I haven't been able to be called that in so long, so I will take that.
What a compliment.
That's me.
Oh, I love it.
So it's not perfect, but and it hurts a great deal. But mostly to do with the fact that I haven't used my foot in 2 months.
Yeah, for sure.
Which apparently causes a lot of pain. But the bones are mending, and they're almost mended completely. And now I am a person who can walk on 2 feet. If I go out the house, I still have to wear that wild boot that makes me look like a RoboCop. But that also goes in 2 weeks. So by the next time we're back, I'm just like all of you, just a person that walks on 2 feet.
So what have you done with your newfound freedom?
Nothing at all, because it hurts so much to walk. So I have come home and I have enjoyed the walking across the room, my house, from room to room.
You mean you haven't jogged down the stairs on which you fell and broke your foot?
Yeah, I thought about that.
Oh,
Yeah.
What a rich detail. You know I wanted to know.
I knew. I was like, well, we got to give Katie some background.
I know, but that's so boring. I thought we were like, part of us was going to work on a better story for me. Then my dumb dog wouldn't come in the house. So I stomped down the back stairs thinking I had got to the bottom, but it turned out there was still one more stair left.
The sneaky extra stair.
The sneaky extra. That'll be my memoir right there. That is the title. It'll also be instructional for people as well.
Of course.
I also would like to write a book called Things You Didn't Need to Think You Needed to Say. So making sure you go down all of the stairs.
A lot of people die on stairs. So this is helpful.
Do they? Is this a true fact?
Yeah, a lot of people fall downstairs, especially in soap operas.
Then
But also in real life.
My experience of watching people fall downstairs in movies is they always lose babies. That's a
classic.
It's a classic. I don't even know if that's true, but I think we have watched enough noir to know that pregnant woman fall downstairs, baby gone.
Or convenient fake baby gone.
Yeah, that one there too.
Your soap opera background is really showing, Ada.
If you have, okay, all right, let's rewind. If you need to get rid of a fake baby, fall down the stairs.
Honestly, yes. This episode is going to end up needing to have multiple trigger warnings with it. But yes, anything fake, basically, that you don't need to provide proof that you are humanly growing. You can have that sort of taken care of by stair falling, elevator shaft falling, unfortunate, or just a long bath. All of these things are good. A weird horseback riding accident. All of these things have happened definitely in soap operas to get rid of the problem of the fake baby.
Yes. Well, in my case, it was a real stair fall. Were real bones broken. And also,
how many fake babies, Lisa?
Well, okay, we've had that conversation. We're just going to let that one go. But I did also want to add that today was the first day I had a shower in 2 months. Bathed. Please, I have taken baths. But I have not stood in a shower in 2 months. So, again.
Did that feel like growing up?
It did. It did. It was a little less indulgent. I mean, I was probably starting to get a bit used to the whole... I mean, there's something... You can't hurry a bath, I find. Have you noticed that?
So right. Well, because you spend all the time drying it. I feel like if you
that's true.
probably if you had someone draw a bath for you, you wouldn't feel as the need to draw it out.
And probably the bath salts that I would insist on putting in, and the candles I had to light. So yes, it was a good hour procedure.
I feel like
Every day?
when I was a kid, like kid to adolescent, that was a big step with like going from baths to shower.
Yes.
And I wanted it so bad, like everything, and I hate it now.
Now you want to go back to the baths.
No, I don't want either of them. I don't.
You don't want to bathe.
You just want to be
don't want
licked
to.
clean by a stranger?
Oh,
Yeah. Okay. No, yeah.
that's a long. That's
Saliva
probably gonna
sponge.
That's going to probably take longer than my hour bath to accomplish, I would say. A lot of nooks and crannies to
I mean,
get
I'm
in,
short, but yeah, for sure.
Well, you know what? Probably because you were like a championship swimmer. You're just like, well, baths and showers feel completely useless to me. I am a creature of vaster amounts of water.
That's exact. I love to be submerged. And in any other context, I hate to be wet. If I cannot be completely underwater, I don't want it. A shower is just getting splashed.
That's very, very specific. That is, wow. How about the sponge bath? How do you feel about the sponge bath? Very popular.
I've never broken a foot, so I've never.
I did not try to do the sponge bath, but I did see it in the movie we are about to.
I know that's a natural segue, but I feel I have a story that I need to share, and this is the
all right.
place
We'll
where
go back to it. We'll
This
go
is the
back because
place where
usually
I-
I throw this out here, and Andrea jumps on it.
I
and,
know,
okay.
and I'm going to regret sharing this story, but I think it's important that we talk about different things that can happen to you. So, but it's just anyway. A few, like about a month and a half ago, maybe a month ago, I don't know. I had a ingrown hair that turned into an infected boil on my labia. And yeah. So
Whoa.
yeah, it was on the right labia. And
that's different. Thank you for pointing that out. The story
yeah, it wasn't the
just
left.
changed here,
It
not
wasn't the left. It wasn't the left.
Now,
that's, that's Satan's labia, they call that,
Yeah.
don't they? Yeah.
Are you right labia dominant?
I really am. Thank you for instinctively knowing that about me. And I appreciate the question.
Just by
Thank
looking
you.
at you.
No, that's actually that was the line they cut from that movie. Things you can tell just by looking at her. Anyway, so anyways, I had this like infected boil.
Okay, this is gonna go all right.
I know. I'm just preparing. Anyway, it was like literally like basically like as if two golf balls had melded together to form a large bar of infection. And it was a nightmare. And it's as close to multiple times a day sponge bathing as I've ever had, because my dear wonderful spouse, Carlos, whom I've talked about a lot, had to hot compress my boil multiple times a day. And if like, I have to tell you, like, in terms of a pandemic where, you're already just two people sort of really connected to each other, to level up to the multi times a day compressing of your boil on your labia is, I mean, it was weirdly tender and hilarious and awful all at the same time. And it lasted for like 8 to 9 days.
See, all this time I thought the most traumatic thing a man could see was a head coming out of a vagina, but now I know.
No, there's so many more things.
So many more things.
So many more things.
Yeah, you can't throw yourself down the stairs to get rid of a boil.
Or did you even think of that?
Well, it's so complicated because we live on like one floor. We have an apartment. There's no stairs in our home. And if I threw myself down either end of the building on those stairs, they're concrete and I would roll outside. And I just don't like that was not a risk I was. Plus, also, what's the likelihood that you're gonna land smack on the right labia and just lance it off? Right? It's not gonna happen.
No, the level of finesse required.
Honestly, I don't have it. So
I mean, have tears in my eyes in equal measure of laughter and for how beautiful that story was.
I mean, it truly is a beautiful story. But also, and it is very funny as well.
You must have. That sounds like a lot of suffering.
It was incredibly. I was so close to going to the hospital, but
sounds awful.
there was actually like every time I read about it, there was no real need. Like it hadn't progressed to the point where
okay. Like don't say anything you can't take unback because like I might just.
The boil is gone.
Oh, okay.
So and it's back down to a normal labia. So I just want to know so this is why I didn't share the story yet, because I didn't know if I'd have to go to the hospital, and I didn't want that to be like a whole other story. So this is why I'm now coming clean with September was also unfortunately labia boil month. And I will say, as a segue into our episode, I almost would rather have a second labia boil than watch Interview with the Vampire again.
I've never had boil in my labia, but I'm gonna go with you on that one too. Mm-hmm. Anyone else?
I will join you in that. I want to move in. I know we're moving into the movie. I don't want to keep it. It feels selfish to keep this to myself. And if you would like to also enjoy it, since you said the sentence, the boil is gone, I have had it stuck in my head, but sung by Monica to the tune of The Boy Is Gone. And it is.
Well, that is beautiful.
I think the campaign has a theme song now. So
yeah. So excited, you guys. So excited. Okay. Well, we're going to move into what can only be described as melodramatic. This is Pop This. I'm Andrea Warner.
I'm Lisa Christiansen.
I'm Andrea Gin.
And we're so excited to welcome Katie-Ellen Humphries. Yay!
Yay! Who dressed up for the occasion. I know this is a podcast, so you can't see this, but since we are about to take on... I don't know how to preface this. Let's just say Interview with the Vampire, it being our Gothic Halloween month. Katie-Ellen has, I'm just in a sweatshirt and I feel very disappointed in myself.
Really gothed it up.
Yeah. Well,
you got that up so great. Yeah, no, I do think you guys brought like the sort of like sweatsuit goth. And I think that's a new category of goth dressing. So
I love this idea because I do think for the goth, it's a lot of costume. And I think you need to take it down sometimes.
No, I really like it. I think Katie-Ellen, it looks great. I appreciate the goth sweatsuits. I decided to go a little bit extra old school goth with parting my hair in the middle and wearing no concealer under my eyes. That's my tip to, oh, look, she also kind of resembles a very pale, sickly vampire. And that, friends, is my anemia. So anyways,
I think we should start off by making it clear that Katie-Ellen Humphries did not choose this movie.
Yes.
She's not responsible for that in any way.
Not her favorite movie? I thought it was listed on her bio under favorite movies.
She was roped into this.
Yeah.
By us.
Yeah.
I think that's very fair.
I would watch it 10 times again to hang out with y'all.
Katie-Ellen.
And honestly, if you've seen the movie, that does mean a lot. So
it truly does. So you know what? Let's just do a little bit of a different. Let's like introduce Katie-Ellen since we've talked about her a lot.
Yes.
I think that sounds good. I'm gonna read your bio.
Okay.
Katie-Ellen Humphries. She's a stand-up comedian, writer, and sketch performer who splits her time between Vancouver and New York. A founding member of The Lady Show and a veteran of the award-winning comedy cabaret Atomic Vaudeville, Katie-Ellen is a regular on CBC Radio's The Debaters, where she has worked as a writer and associate producer. She will release her debut stand-up comedy album, Ladyfinger, October 20th, 2020, with an in-person album release party at East Vancouver's Kino Cafe that night at 8 p.m. and a virtual album release event on Saturday, October 24th. Also, Katie-Ellen previously appeared on episode 205 of Pop This, talking about Drop Dead Gorgeous. We only get you for the good stuff, Katie-Ellen.
Which, weirdly, that's what all the people in this movie were doing, dropping dead gorgeous.
Oh my God, Lisa, they did.
That is so true.
So true. I want to talk about Ladyfinger after, not only because I was in the audience while you taped it, but because it's amazing. But first, let's talk a little bit about the background and synopsis of Interview with the Vampire. Lisa, would you like to read the background?
Yeah, I sure would. Interview with the Vampire is a 1994 American Gothic horror film directed by Neil Jordan of The Crying Game, The End of the Affair, based on Anne Rice's 1976 novel of the same name, starring Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt. The film was released in November 1994 to generally positive reviews and was a commercial success. It received Oscar nominations for Best Art Director and Best Original Score. Kirsten Dunst was also nominated for a Golden Globe for Best Supporting Actress for her role in the film. The supporting cast features Christian Slater, Antonio Banderas, and Stephen Rea.
All right. Katie-Ellen, do you have the outline in front of you, or should I get Andrea Gin to read the synopsis?
You should probably get Andrea to do it.
All right,
I can
Andrea
do it.
Gin, will you please read the synopsis?
Born as an 18th century lord, Louis, played by Brad Pitt, is now a bicentennial vampire, telling his story to an eager biographer played by Christian Slater. Suicidal after the death of his family, he meets Lestat, played by Tom Cruise, a vampire who persuades him to choose immortality over death and become his companion. Eventually, gentle Louis resolves to leave his violent maker, but Lestat guilts him into staying by turning a young girl, played by Kirsten Dunst, whose addition to the family breeds even more conflict.
Now, I mean, I think that's a part of a film we saw.
Yeah,
we saw,
like,
is that what it's
4
about?
hours more of a film.
Yeah, I don't. If that.
So, like, had everyone seen Interview with the Vampire before?
I believe I had. I know I had read the book, too. I'm sorry to say, and also the Vampire Lestat. Let's just say this now. I like vampire movies. I like vampire things. I'm a fan of the whole thing.
So, what's your favorite vampire movie?
Oh, that is a good question. What is my favorite? I should have anticipated that question, shouldn't I? I think it's that In the Shadows. What is it? The New Zealand film, What We Do in the Shadows, is my favorite. Do you know that one? It's from the guys of the Flight of the Conchords, Jermaine.
They turned it into a TV show, right?
It's a TV series right now that's quite successful. It's what I would imagine like the domestic life of like a vampire, just the normal day-to-day. You got to have a buddy. They always have these buddies. This movie doesn't have this, but oftentimes. And then
it's all about companions, so it does.
But like a regular buddy that can navigate the paying the bills and whatever, all that stuff that needs to.
You mean
happen.
like a daytime buddy, like a not vampire buddy?
Like the buddy you don't kill, even under the circumstances are really bad, you still don't kill because you
like
need
a
them.
human buddy.
And I know that there was a really great vampire sketch on Key and Peele that really made me laugh very hard because they turned this guy into a vampire and he can't figure out why everyone has to always be going, hello, you are a vampire now. And he keeps like, do we have to talk that way? Is that like, is that the rule? Does everyone need to make these big gestures and dress like steampunk goths or whatever? Like, is that the thing? Anyway, so I would say those are my thoughts on vampires there.
Katie-Ellen, have you seen Interview with the Vampire before?
It is one of those movies that it's very possible I have over time seen the whole thing, but always via clips when it's on TV.
Yeah.
And so certainly never start to finish. And I've pieced it together over time.
Fair. Totally fair. AG, how about you?
No, I had never seen the movie before, never read any of the books. The only other vampire movie I'd probably seen was the Twilight series, which is like Oscar caliber, I think, compared to.
Wow.
to this movie.
Wow. Them some fighting words, AG. Oh boy.
Yeah. This is the most ridiculous movie I've seen in a very long time.
Wow. Okay. I want to put that in reference. We've watched Mother's Day for this podcast. So
I didn't watch Mother's
you didn't.
Day,
That's
so.
right. Never mind.
You didn't have to watch that. So
we also recently watched The Wedding Planner. So, I mean, I have to say, I like...
The Wedding Planner is a great film, and I stand by that statement.
All right. I understand.
Yeah, you're getting into murky waters with
Sure.
with that, yeah.
So I had seen it a very long time ago, and I remember very much enjoying it. I think I saw it when I was a teenager because it came out in 1994, and so I would have been very on board for this film at this time. Also, like, Brad Pitt is so pretty. And I was, I'm not immune to that. And then watching it last night, I was like, oh, so this is a movie about a slave owner who is sad, and then his sadness is his superpower, and that's all that's happening. This is not the movie I remembered. You know what I mean? Like, it's not great. Although I do love a lot of parts of it still, even now, because it's so stupid and so ridiculous. And I do like vampires as well. And my favorite vampire movie is Let the Right One In.
Oh gosh, yes. I'm sorry. I should have mentioned that one.
It's really
That's
good.
better. The Swedish one, not the remake one. Right?
No, yeah. I mean, I don't mind the remake, but the Swedish one is amazing.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm still sticking with mine, but I really like Let the Right One In too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
What was the most ridiculous part to each of you?
Oh, I think Lisa captured it in her Instagram last night when she posted that clip of Tom Cruise squeezing the rat blood into a goblet.
And I did make a reference to he's always making cocktails. Yeah, that was out there. You know what? The biggest problem to me about this movie is it's boring. It is so boring.
It's so long.
It is so long. I don't care about any of it. It was not scary at all. Like no moment where I felt like covering my eyes at all.
It was long. It was too long, yet it covered like 200 years somehow of
It
like
felt 200
story.
years. Like that's honestly, that's just.
I feel like I aged 200 years watching it. I mean, my foot broke again, healed, and I'm back. That's how long this movie felt. No, I just thought it was very dull. I think it tried to talk, like, I think that whole idea of like telling that much time, weirdly, was not made it seem that long. Like, it was just really boring. And I feel like I can forgive movies for being dumb and ridiculous, but not boring. Boring is really bad to me.
But like kind of Anne Rice had a moment at this time in vampires
huge.
and goth. Yeah, exactly. And this movie was really a big deal when it came out. But so like, why do you think we all feel so differently about it compared to like and then to how in the 90s most people received it?
I don't know. Wasn't like Smash Mouth doing well then? I mean, don't blame everything.
I was wondering
right?
the same
like,
because I thought going in, my only perception was like, oh yeah, this is a good movie.
Yes.
I was like, this is a celebrated film, and if anything, I think dumb as a younger person for having not seen it. Because it was a thing that, and yeah, teenage
it's
girls
not Citizen
loved it.
Kane. I think you can cut yourself some slack here. It's not like Casablanca, Citizen Kane, Interview with the Vampire. If you haven't seen that trilogy, just don't even call yourself a cinephile. Like,
it's got all these big actors. I just assumed, I was like, oh yeah, this is a good and celebrated movie. And then when I was watching it, I was like, man, it was a different time.
I think that's the key thing. Like 94 really very distinctly was a different time. Like this, I remember this movie was supposed to be, titillating and all the homoeroticism and like all of this sort of like coded, sort of romance between Lestat and Louis, and then Armand comes in, and the sort of there's supposed to be something that's sort of sexy and dangerous about it. That in 1994, when I was 15, it did feel a little sexy and risque. It doesn't in 2020. Like,
even at the time, though, Tom Cruise was horribly cast for this. Like, it didn't make any sense at all.
Oh yeah, but I think it was just such a big swing for him. This is before he'd jumped on a couch and married Katie Holmes. You know, like this.
But
is
think about it. Think about all the people that Anne Rice really wanted to play Lestat. She was like Jeremy Irons. I mean, super hot then.
I feel for her.
Rutger, gosh darn Howard. If we swore, I would have made that more emphatic. But in no way do you go, or Tom Cruise. Like, that is not the beat, right?
But he was such a big box office draw at the time. That's the thing. Like, he's like, he can basically get any role he wants, because if you say you have Tom Cruise signing onto a project, you're going to get funded. Like, you're getting all the money in the world.
No, I get it. It's just, it made for the viewing experience. I think he really, I'm not saying he would have made it less boring, but it would have been not as bad.
Yeah, I think he's
I
not
feel like
good.
he's a natural choice. Because...
Tell us your favorite 7 Tom Cruise scenes.
Yes.
Well, I just feel like in the way vampires are like, I'm not gay, I'm a vampire.
Ah,
And I feel like that's how
fair.
Tom Cruise goes through the life.
Yeah,
He's like, I'm
okay.
not homosexual, I'm a Scientologist.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
When I was watching it, I was like, is this really that far off from what I imagined Tom Cruise's real life to be like living in some huge
Right?
mansion somewhere?
Also grabbing a very small, much younger than you woman to be like, no, we're not.
We're
I got a
good.
kid.
Got a kid now. Actually, I think that is how most of his adoptions went. So,
Yeah.
But I always find there's
that's
something
terrible. That's terrible.
rather sexless about Tom Cruise. Like, there's no, like, I don't know who would, is someone attracted to him here? Like, should we say this now?
I mean, no, I guess not. Like, there have been moments where I was like, oh, okay. Like, he's like, I remember I rewatched the first Mission Impossible
Oh, I like Mission Impossible.
at the beginning of pandemic.
He's a
And-
good Ethan Hunt. I will give you that.
Yeah, like he's like good in that. And I remember like having a moment in that where I was like, oh yeah, he is a very like objectively attractive. Like, if you worked in an office with this man, you'd be like, Tom's the office hunk, you know, even though he's like a little on the like sort of, he coaches a softball team, but he's still fine. Like, it's not exciting. There's not like a magnetism to him that's exciting. But that's actually one of the things I've thought about so much with regards to his desire to do all his own stunts, is his Scientology. Like, his Scientology sort of like is just always about repression, right? Like, it's about having this sort of total control over everything that you think and feel, etc. So like, no wonder he's constantly risking his life and wanting to play these characters in which he can actually like take these huge leaps and swings and give into all of these different sides of himself, because like we're, you know, I think his existence is kind of, it's chosen, but it's quite sad.
That's a lot.
Sorry.
For Lestat.
I've thought about this a lot.
You put a lot of thought into Tom Cruise.
Yeah, that's...
Well, I mean, he's 6 years old dangling off the side of a building and like so proud of it. And they want to make all these like specials about his Mission Impossible death-defying stunts. And like, of course he has no qualms risking his life because that's the only time he feels alive. It's sad.
Maybe he really is a vampire
He
in
might
real
be a
life.
vampire.
Which would be, I would have hoped for a better performance then, but...
No, that's how he throws you off the scent.
Yeah, it's just, it's for all that. And I agree with you, because I do remember that whole, marketing and discussion around, were they attracted to each other, and he was kissing a man in a movie. And I thought, could there be anything less to make any part of your body move or feel anything than those scenes? I mean,
maybe I'm weird, but I was just like, all right.
you were getting some feelings? You got stirs? Did anything move?
Yes. Well, we've talked so much about my labias. Let's just continue. Oh, my vapors. No, I was just like, okay, I would watch them make out. Like, I mean, 1994, Tom
I
Cruise
felt like I was
and Brad
dying
Pitt.
for them to make out. I was
I
like, why
wanted
would
them to make out so hard.
I would want Brad Pitt and Antonio Banderas to make out.
I wanted any boys to make out.
Yes.
Yeah, those two would have been okay.
Put your mouths on each other's mouth.
Yes. Well, that's the thing, like, just constantly having to, like, see all these, like, up close, like, and I think that, again, 1994, I think it is a different time. Like, I mean, it wasn't that, stigmatized, but it certainly was still deeply stigmatized to sort of depict in a mainstream film any kind of sort of, like, even coded homosexual relationship or pansexual relationship, any kind of like, or intimacy between men. Like, I think this is a very, especially because
you could have gay people at that time, but not sexual gay people.
Yeah.
You'd have like the gay best friend or whatever. But you couldn't have like just two actively gay people with a rich life.
Well, and presenting them as like parents to this child that they, kill and revive. And the again, like that sort of, I really liked this one thing about in the outline, AG talking about the odd family dynamic uncomfortably plays as both a parent and child relationship and a polyamorous triad. But Neil Jordan maintains a steady directing hand over it, and Dunst, a consummate pro even as a preteen, plays the whole thing as tragic rather than tawdry. And that's from Gina Radcliffe in The Spool. And I think that there's some truth to that. Like that sort of, I don't think they do it well, but contextually in 1994, that probably felt daring.
But I mean, also, just talking about Kirsten Dunst, like she's a one thing that's amazing in this movie. Like,
great in
I
this
can't
movie.
believe
So creepy.
how great
That's the
her
creepiest
performance
part,
is.
especially when she starts to mature, but is still stuck in this child's body. It's very uncomfortable, and that I agree with you. I liked feeling a little uncomfortable.
That is my big memory of this movie, is that I don't, when it's out, I didn't see it as a younger person. But I did see, I want to say like 1 million interview clips of Kirsten Dunst and a grown-up person saying to what I think is 12-ish, a 12-year-old girl, what is it like to kiss Brad Pitt?
Yes.
Like,
so uncomfortable.
And every time her saying, well, I'm a child who was at work. You weirdo.
Yeah.
And was it your first kiss? Get out of here, you psychos.
So gross. So gross. Like,
it's even weird. Like, I don't know. Like, I guess her parents were on set. Like, there's a documentary about to come out about the making of The Exorcist. And I've always wondered about Linda Blair being in that movie, and like, where you're like, do your parents come on set the day you really like F that crucifix? Was that a big moment for everybody on set? Like, so I always wonder about these sorts of things when you put your kid in a movie. Like, it just seems like there was a lot going on in this movie with her. Yeah,
but she was extraordinary in it.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh, she's so good. She's so good. Like, even just when Lestat is so mean and throws out endowments you'll never possess as a means of sort of like just hurling cruelty at her and her lack of breasts, I was just like, this is so petty, but this is like a very perfect vampire burn. But like, it does, like, is there someone who's going through the script with Kirsten Dunst, who again was 11 or 12 at the time, just like walking her through what like all of the beats of this performance are, and like trying to sort of like get her to imagine what it would be to be an extraordinarily like sort of frustrated 50 or 60-year-old woman trapped in the body of an 11-year-old girl. Like, how do you even convey that as like I don't know, if you're doing that sort of dramaturgy work? I don't know. It's just wild.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking what it would have been like if Lindsay Lohan had done it, weren't you? No, I'm just kidding. I wasn't.
So grateful it was Kirsten.
Just a thought. I had time to think about other things while I kept seeing close-ups of Brad Pitt's face. And
Yeah, he's really
hair.
like a set piece in this movie.
Yeah. It's just like, I don't know, after a while it was like, is that the troubled face? Is that the angry face? Is it the I wish I was anywhere on the planet besides here face? Like, I could not read that face.
One thing I think is interesting about Brad Pitt's performance in this movie is that, intrinsic to his character is that he does not feed, right? That's a big part of it. And in most of the roles where Brad Pitt is celebrated as an actor, a lot of eating.
You're right.
Yeah, the Ocean's movies. He eats all the way through them. Yeah.
Well, that's his contemporary go-to acting crutch, right? It's like Moneyball. He's always like apple, donut, whatever. And he eats different in different movies. He makes character choices about eating, but he's often eating.
Oh my God.
As the activity that he's doing.
That's so
And
true.
in this movie, just quintessentially, he can't be eating. And so there's nothing. Yeah, and those are the only, when he's feeding on rats and things, it's like the only time there's activity in his body.
You're right. Oh my God.
Well, apparently he hated filming this movie and tried to get out of it at the last minute, but
Ooh, that reads.
was bound by contract to do it because he didn't quite realize that, as it took a long time to film, and he didn't quite realize it would be in like near darkness for the entire time. And he found it to be like super depressing.
Well, thanks, Brad, because you conveyed that to all of us watching it. So. I did read that Oprah walked out on this movie. I saw this at Wikipedia. She was 10 minutes in and she was, I'm out. And she almost canceled Tom Cruise's appearance on her show, which, is that the couch? Was that the famous
No, the couch sitting was like 10 years later.
Yeah.
Really?
Okay.
She
Well,
didn't
anyway.
like the sympathetic portrayal of slave owners?
Yeah, wild.
Now that you say that, that makes a lot more sense as to why she may have walked out.
I
but
feel
they
like,
did not say that.
in 94 it was, for sure. There was just
94
that wasn't even a plot point.
In 94, I did not clock it. Watching it last night, I was like, this is disgusting. This is awful.
Even the first line would be like, da-da-da-da, I was living on a plantain. Whoa, what?
Yeah, I know.
A plantain. A plantation. I was living on a very small fruit.
Like Horton Hears a Who or something. I can't think, if you were to ask me like one good thing about this movie, I can't even, like I said, we're doing this for, scary month. It's October.
Gothic horror.
I know we specifically called it Gothic horror, but still, I was more afraid watching Jane Eyre. Like, it was scarier.
Again, it's because of the melodrama is just so over the top. Like, I do think Kirsten Dunst is fantastic, and so I think that this movie gave us like that. But
I feel inappropriate watching that too. I feel a little bit uncomfortable. Like I say, I felt uncomfortable with their whole trying to be sexy, which makes me just. If people try to be sexy, I just find that so embarrassing for everybody.
But so, Lisa, as a person who's read the book, do you think it did a good job in portraying the book?
No. I felt like the fun part of the book was a lot more. What, you're interviewing a vampire? Like, come on, that title should be better. Like, it was more, like this reporter kind of realizing that this is true and things, and like wanting to get into this person. Whereas it was almost like the movie just kind of framed it so as, well, we've now got this, we can get the story this way, as opposed to really exploring. Like, because all of a sudden at the end, Christian Slater's make me a vampire. You're like, what? Where? What? Who? Like, it just was out. I mean, and how Lestat got in the car. I mean, we haven't even, like, what? I thought he was dying in a mansion.
I laughed so hard.
That didn't make any sense.
Can I just say that I laughed so hard when Louis was like, dear God, I failed again, haven't I? After Christian Slater, like, was, like, begging him to make him a vampire, and Louis is just like, nuts. And like, he is so ineffectual. Like,
so
I think
stupid.
He's
at one
so
point,
bad in this
He's
movie.
so
His acting
bored.
is so bad.
but I don't think he has a lot to work with. Like, he's the person who's on this pedestal that everyone's like, you have such a good heart. You're so good, Louis. You have so much empathy. You're so human, blah, 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 blah. And like, he doesn't have there's not a lot of tension in that particular, he's constantly having to sort of fight his own inner demons. And then he's also sort of this thing that all of these other vampires want. Like, he is everyone's ideal companion, apparently. And probably because he doesn't eat. Like, they can just go and like get all the food themselves, and he's just going to eat rats, and it's fine. And so I get that. And he's like pretty to look at and stuff. And he probably gives good hugs. But like, I just don't think he brings a lot to the table otherwise. And I think that that's like a flaw of the character. Is the character more compelling in the book?
No, I don't feel like, he's just telling a story. I don't remember thinking, like, it's been a long time since I've read that.
I couldn't believe the book was from 1976.
Yeah, I did not read it then.
No, I mean, it's
yeah,
fine. But like, I just was like, wow, 1976. And then they didn't make it till 1994?
Yeah, I think it just kind of kicked around for a long time. But I felt like there was a bit more of, like I said, like that whole fun idea of like, you're a journalist and you meet a vampire. Like, what would that be like? You know what I mean? As opposed to just focusing only on the story that he told.
I kept forgetting that was part of it, and only occasionally they'd flash back to that contemporary hotel room, and I'd be like, oh, that's right, interview with a vampire.
So I feel as though, and I could be wrong, and I'm not going to bother reading that book again, ever, but I feel like we probably would have got into Louis's head a little bit more had, like you said, all of those things, like he didn't have a lot to work with, if there was a lot more of that, like the interviewing questions, like tell me a bit about that. What did that feel like to be the undead and, kind of reluctantly undead, if that's an expression, and having to kill people and eat and drink their blood? Like how, like, you know what I mean? More questions rather than the whole movie trying to convey it through Brad Pitt's blank face, Like
well, it's just Brad Pitt monologuing and voiceovering, and Christian Slater is not very good at his job. But like, I guess, like I was thinking about this as well. Like their conversation is that Louis saw him in an alley and had been watching him.
Well, he can read his mind, I guess, right? Because they're mind readers,
but I thought Louis
right?
couldn't
He doesn't
read
have
minds.
that gift, yeah?
Oh, right.
Yeah,
right.
His gift is apparently hugs, and like that's like, and I think that's actually deeply compelling if you do it differently than what this was, like. But like,
what if they got Andrew McCarthy from St. Elmo's Fire? He played a journalist. To have stumbled out of St. Elmo's Fire and then met the vampire.
What a shared universe.
But do you think there's a way this film could be remade with a new cast and just directed in a different way that would make it a good movie?
Yes.
Yeah. Like more focusing on, the person doing the asking questions and things, like being, it'd be great. Imagine if they did it like Nix and Frost, just two guys.
I don't I think the you'd have to really make sure that the interviewer was compelling, which I don't. I think the problem is just trying to like tell, like you said, AG at the beginning, like 200 years crammed into this 200 minutes, and each one suddenly like 30 years Claudia and I have spent together, and like it's just so much telling and not enough showing, like that it's.
It's like
the closest was the dolls, when he's like, like, you buy me so many, I have dozens, and then you look at the bed covered in dolls, you're like, that's how many birthdays she's had.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we need more moments like that.
Less moments of going to the opera. Like, I could care less if I had to see anyone go to the opera. I get it. You love the arts, whatever.
I mean, I do love there are these moments that I think are funny, even still to this day. When, I know this is terrible, but when Tom Cruise dances the dead woman around the room and says there's life left in these old bones, I'm just like, Tom Cruise is so proud of himself in this moment. He's just like, you can feel it radiating off his face. Like, it's just, he's just like, I can't believe I'm dancing with a dead body. I'm living out my Tom Petty, just, it's so good. And you can just feel how good he feels about it. and like those moments still I find quite funny. I can't help it.
Well,
I felt another piece
look at you.
I felt another piece was like, it felt like there was a stunt person on this film who was training other stunt people to wear the fire suit.
Yeah.
Like, let's burn a human man again just because I want to make sure this guy gets his hours in so we can sign off on his accreditation.
And, for someone who really cares about people, as Louis is suggesting, when they finally flee New Orleans and the entire city's burning down because he caught fire to Lestat, he didn't seem particularly like, I was hoping Lestat would not come out of the flames again. Like, you just burnt down the entire city.
You
like,
murdered
all of it.
so many people. Actually, and that is the only time when Louis kind of comes alive is when he gets to like burn all those vampires and slice off their heads and stuff. Like Vengeance Louis is kind of, at least he's doing something.
Yeah, I honestly think that the whole movie really, when it got to Paris.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Like unnecessary, that whole thing.
I mean, everyone knows Paris is for werewolves anyway.
Right?
Agreed.
Well said. Well said.
It's like, what are you
Agreed.
even doing here?
What are you even doing here? The other thing that I thought, just to go back to sort of the super gross sort of the way that they just sort of like frame it all in this like horrific pit of racism and slavery, and then sort of like push it off to the sides because it's like that's just the part of the storytelling. The fact that like Tandy Newton is the like their sort of like housewoman, and she then starred in that Mission Impossible movie with Tom Cruise like a few years later, and has recently gone on the record about like the how it wasn't a good working experience. I mean, I know most of her scenes were with Brad Pitt, but I had totally forgotten that she was in the movie, and I had totally just sort of like blanked largely on that aspect. And so I was just like, I'm justice for Tandy Newton all the time, always.
Yeah.
I hope we're getting across to people who are listening that this is not a good movie, and you should not decide that, hey, it's Halloween. Let's watch something kicky. That's
what we
gothic
did
and stuff. Because that's what the mistake we made.
I mean, I'm gonna say that like if you've never seen it, I do think like I know that so okay. We like to sort of say, does this pop? So I'll save my caveat for that portion. So Lisa. No. And I was thinking about another fun vampire movie that I really enjoyed called Fright Night. Michael Sarandon, who was married to Susan. Oh, I guess it's Michael Sarandon because he was married to Susan Sarandon. That makes much more sense. And
I would really love if they pronounce it differently.
Yeah, me too. Because Susan doesn't do stuff right ever. So
that would be so great. You're a couple, but you just choose to pronounce your names different. I'm Smythe, he's Smith. It's funny. So Chris Sarandon stars as a vampire, and Roddy McDowall is in it too. And it's from the 80s. And so here's my pop. Does it pop? No, but Fright Night does. So useless because we didn't do it, but an enjoyable vampire movie that might be more fun to 100% will be more fun to watch than this movie. All right. Katie-Ellen, how about you?
Does not pop. But you know what does? The Wedding Planner.
Actually, I will say Wedding Planner much more frightening to me than Interview with a Vampire.
Wow.
So I will give you that. AG, how about you?
No, this does not pop at all. I would sooner watch the entire Twilight series again than ever set my eyes on this flaming heap of
backwards
garbage.
And in Spanish.
Yeah,
I think I would rather.
It's a wild ride. Yeah. So I also don't think it pops, but I do think Kirsten Dunst's performance pops. So I think that you should watch this movie for that, because I think it's worthwhile to like just watch. Like if you think she's extraordinary now, it's kind of stunning to realize that she's always been extraordinary. And I think that that's worth spending some time with.
Agreed.
There you go.
My last visit with y'all. was also
Kirsten Dunst.
Kirsten Dunst's Extraordinary Vehicle.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes. Oh my God.
We're only gonna do Kirsten Dunst films every time you come on the show.
I mean,
Wow.
Well,
very
luckily
excited about that.
she's had a long career, so that's
Yes.
that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very excited about that. So one of the things that I had hoped that we would, I was supposed to bring it up, and then it got away from me. Katie-Ellen, let's talk about your comedy album. It's your debut comedy album.
Oh,
I'm so
bless
excited.
Your sweet heart. It is indeed. Yeah, it comes out next week, next Tuesday, October 20th, 2020. Ladyfinger worldwide, wherever you get comedy albums, I guess. iTunes, Spotify, Google Play.
So
You'll also be able to purchase it.
You recorded it last year, in November.
A lifetime ago.
It really, honestly, truly a lifetime ago. So, how has the pandemic, has it disrupted your release plans for this album?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely had planned to have events with human people in the same place, and I thought there'd be like dancing and drinking and touching, and we won't do those things. So in that way, yes, that has been interrupted. As you mentioned off the top, I am going to do a very small in-person event at Kino Cafe, and it'll be, I think it's, there's like 6 tables or something that can be reserved in advance. And then I will be doing on Saturday, October 24th, a virtual release party. So that'll be our, we can do our dancing and drinking and touching hearts from afar through that. It's strange to listen to the tracks because you hear 250 people packed in shoulder to shoulder in a small room, and I was like, oh, I forgot what that sounds like.
Yeah. Like, I remember I went to one of the recording nights. I don't know how it all gets, like, you recorded over like a weekend, like 3 shows or something?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So, but I remember going to one of the shows, and there was like 6 of us at a table, and we were back to back with so many people, and it was so packed, and it was so funny. And I mean, I'm a loud laugher as it is, but there were people in the room that were laughing even more loudly than I was. Like,
just spreading germs, hey?
Oh.
Just like,
yeah.
The euphoria of germ spreading.
Just joyful coughing all over the place.
Just not even caring which way my
Is this
spittle
your
flies.
beer? Who cares? I'll drink it anyway. Was there stuff like that?
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I definitely drank out of other people's glasses that night. I remember.
It just, here we were talking about rebellion, and now look at us. We're just like, what? There were more than 4 people in a room? Are you out of your mind?
Yeah. I mean, over the course of the weekend, I probably hugged 300 people.
Yeah.
Minimum.
Of course. Absolutely. Well, even just naming your album Ladyfinger feels very subversive at this point in time, with fingers being quite
So dangerous. Keep them to yourself. But not all parts of yourself. Away from your orifice. They just
Unless, is this about making tiramisu? Is that what you're...
I mean, they're not. It's part of it.
Okay, good. If it ends with a really delicious tiramisu recipe.
I just like to think that my comedy is very layered.
Oh!
Got a bit of a buzz,
Is it like, releasing your first album? That feels like both hugely exciting and maybe like a little bit scary. How are you feeling?
Yeah, no, that nails it for sure. It definitely is running the gamut. It, especially as I have wrapped my head around a little bit and poking my head out to promote the album a little bit, it feels much better. But the initial stages of that, and even trying to do a write-up of what the album is, I just it felt terrifying. And I feel like I'm out of practice of being vulnerable in that way. So I'm not getting on stage every night. So in that way, it's welcome a little bit, because that challenge is something that is missing in my life right now. Sort of it feels so distant from having recorded it. It's almost this sort of strange exercise of promoting. It's almost like I'm promoting someone else. Like, you should check out this act. She's incredible. And I don't know if that's if that's even just my own self-preservation, like distancing that I'm doing, because I'm wearing the PR hat, and also the thing I'm promoting is me.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense to me.
Do you feel though that, like, I mean, we haven't had a lot of movies or comedy yet about the pandemic, but do you watch it going, what is she talking about? Like,
oh yeah, I mean, it's
yeah.
I do have I have one joke on the album, which was already getting a little, so I have a joke about gender reveal parties, which when I first started writing it, I would always have to explain to the audience to make sure everyone in the audience knew what a gender reveal party was. And the idea now, like that joke coming out to be like, I wish so much that people didn't know, everyone knows now. Because maniacs burned down California.
Yeah.
You couldn't.
That's not laughing at California. Sorry.
No, I know.
No, of course.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we were blanketed in their smoke for weeks. So just that line on the album is going to be like, so for those of you not familiar, for those of you who were born in September.
But it's such a funny album, and like we love to end our episodes on things that we recommend. So my big recommendation is Ladyfinger, because I was there, I heard it in the room. It's amazing. It's so funny. In fact, I feel like I saw you perform aspects of it multiple times because I stalked you around New York.
Oh my God!
December.
Oh, remember?
That was
New York?
Yeah.
What a dream!
What a time! But yeah, so I highly, highly, highly recommend Katie-Ellen Humphries' debut comedy album, Ladyfinger. That's my recommendation. I never go first, so this is exciting. Now, Lisa, what do you recommend?
The same.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I'm like, that's so weird. I also recommend Katie-Ellen Humphries' debut album, Ladyfinger.
I was gonna say that, and that's why it's weird. And
it is weird. Yeah.
You went first, and so I was like, I'll let her have this.
Oh, I stole her.
I mean,
thunder.
I don't
So
want to.
sorry.
I don't want to take up all the shine, just self-promoting my thing. So I will go on a limb and I will promote my brand new podcast.
Whoa!
Check it out, Horny Off Main.
I'm very excited. Horny Off Main. Off Main?
Yeah, Horny
On
Off
Main.
Main. I co-host
Okay,
it
just
with
wanna make
Vancouver
sure.
actor Amitai Marmerstein.
Amitai is one of my favorite. So he's not gonna. I don't even know if he remembers this movie, but he was in a very strange Vancouver movie about puppets.
Sunflower Hour.
Yes.
I've seen that in theater multiple times. It is absolutely one of my favorite movies.
It is fantastic. It's one of the funniest things I've ever seen. And we left the theater going, who is this Amitai guy? Oh my God. Phenomenal.
Sunflower, say it again. Sunflower Power Hour?
Almost Sunflower Hour.
Oh, I don't know why I went Power Hour, but
Why not? It's so that the just top tier Vancouver acting in that movie. It's so funny.
So funny.
So what's your podcast about?
Oh, yes. Right.
Wait, Horny Off Main didn't give you any kind of...
Yeah, so we're horny. We live off Main.
with sexless vampires.
That's right. Yeah, we are both sexless vampires. So Amitai and I are both very excited, or we're very interested in people's off-Main behavior. So I'm borrowing a phrase from online. The idea that people have, they have sort of multiple social media accounts. That idea that like they act a certain way in their regular account, and then they have burner accounts or whatever they do. So we just use that euphemistically for behavior that you used to be either that you're sort of ashamed of, or you keep to one pocket of your life, or and horniness for us is the thing we used to be very, very, very off Main about, and now we're just living out loud as horny people. And also the horniness right now, the idea of mustering the optimism to have desire for anything. It doesn't have to be sexual, but even just, like horny for drive-in movies or whatever it is. Like whatever is a thing that is managing to muster some kind of enthusiasm out of you right now.
Shoes?
We want to hear that.
Sorry.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
just
you
me.
getting to wear 2 shoes?
Yeah. It's going to feel sexual when I put a shoe on.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So those are the two things that that we're really interested in, that we're exploring on the podcast.
That's great. I have actually been personally touting horny 40s is a real vibe for me that I've embraced big time since turning 40 last year. So it's been really good.
I don't think we should start the podcast with Carlos touching your boil.
No,
And now we end the podcast with the horny 40s.
This is how it goes.
It's quite a book ending.
I tell you what, we can start, and you can come on my podcast. We can talk about this all day long.
Great.
Yeah, there you go.
Can't wait.
Okay.
I wasn't trying to take it all back to me. I was just
Full circle. There we go.
Full circle.
Yeah.
AG, did you have anything that we're all recommending Katie-Ellen? So I mean,
exactly.
That's
I just want to recommend Katie.
That's all we care about.
That's it. Yeah.
Katie-Ellen, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. We're really so excited for you, and we always love having you around.
It's always such a treat. It's such a great time. Thank you so much for having me.
It was very, very fun. And thank you for dressing up. And thank you for watching that terrible movie. And, next time...
We'll choose a better Kirsten Dunst movie.
Yes, we will. Yes.
How about next time you get to pick?
Yes. Ladies' Choice.
Fun.
That's my other podcast. No, I'm just kidding. It's a terrible name for a podcast.
It's a great name.
Agreed.
Thank you, everyone, for listening. This has been slightly unhinged, but we love it. This is Interview with the Vampire did this to us. So
yeah, it sucked our blood right out of us. We have nothing in our brains. There's no oxygen flowing at all.
Don't forget to check out Katie-Ellen Humphries' new album, Ladyfinger, and check out her podcast, Horny Off Main. And anything else, just spend all your time spending your time searching out everything that Katie-Ellen has done.
Yeah.
You can hang out with us on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram. Lisa and I will be co-hosting online trivia nights with our friend Hannah McGregor.
Is that this month? I'm just kidding.
October 28th, we are hosting a Vancouver Podcast Festival trivia fundraiser online. You can go to vanpodfest.ca and find out tickets. They're $10. It's a fundraiser. Come hang out with us. Wear a Halloween costume. It's October 28th. It's a Wednesday. It'll be great.
And also remember, it's a fundraiser too. I just wanted to get a little other joke in there. Thanks everyone for being here. Happy Halloween. And we'll be back. And thanks to Andrea Gin for producing and co-hosting with us. And geez, you thought it'd be fun to watch movies with us, didn't you? Yeah.
Yeah, for a few weeks. Yeah.
For a few weeks.
8 months later, the saga continues. All right,
well, you
everyone.
missed the fine wigs of Mother's Day, but you didn't miss these fine wigs.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks so much.